It's day 2 of Mockmas, and we're bringing, I figured, wait, since it's day 2, why not bring a day 2 mock draft with it? So we're going to be doing 3 rounds today. We got another day tomorrow of Mockmas, day number 3, which if you keep the theme along, who knows, you know what I'm saying? We'll just see how it goes there. But I'm so ready, man. I feel on fire for this mock draft. Wait a minute, fire? Did somebody say fire? I'm on fire! Wouldn't you think Harry and Marv would be like, at some point, it's not worth it? I don't care how much money that is in there. I don't care if there's $1 billion in the doorway. I am not risking it to go after. This kid is clearly crazy. And I'm not messing around with Kevin anymore. I mean, it's hilarious. Harry and Marv are dedicated criminals. I got to give them that. But let's get into this mock draft now. And the way I'm going to do it today is I'm going to go by each team. Now, it's going to be in order of the draft in terms of the first round, but it's just going to go team by team, filling all of their picks for this one. So, starting with that number 1 overall pick, Giants, I'm going Cam Ward here. They have to find their franchise quarterback. There's just no other way that you can really look, I feel like. Maybe they go Sam Darnold in free agency. I think that is very, very unlikely, especially if they're picking at number 1 overall. So getting your guy, whether it's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, I know the argument, and we're going to continue to have that argument going through this process. Who do you go with, right? For me, I'm a little higher on Shedeur Sanders, but once again, I do love Cam Ward. I think he's got a tremendous amount of talent. The skill set is all there. And if you can develop him, get some of those bad mistakes, hero ball moments out of his repertoire, he could be a really good quarterback. So you're taking him here. You're trying to develop him into an elite quarterback. And then on day 2, Cameron Williams, Walter Nolan, both guys going to add some much needed help to the trenches. With Cameron Williams, they need a right tackle of the future. Jermaine Illuminor's been playing left tackle, and next season you move him back over to right tackle when Andrew Thomas comes back. Or, since Illuminor does have ability to play on the inside at guard, remember Greg Van Roten is a free agent, so that's another real option as you keep Cameron Williams over right tackle, you move Illuminor inside to right guard, you fill 2 birds with 1 stone. Either which way, that right side of the offensive line clearly needs help. And then the defensive line pick with Walter Nolan, he's going to be a great number 2, 1-2 punch with Sexy Dexy on that interior. Get themselves somebody who's a disruptor. He's a quick penetrator. And yeah, I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying those type of words together. But, you know, in terms of football, I know everyone doing all that pause stuff. Man, I don't understand. I still kind of don't get that. I'm a little slow, I guess, with the times. But anyway, Walter Nolan, I think would be a phenomenal pick on that defensive line with Sexy Dexy. On to the New England Patriots, and they're going to be taking Travis Hunter, the number 2 overall selection. I love Travis Hunter, that two-way ability that he brings to the table. You have to take advantage of that. If you're drafting Travis Hunter, in my opinion, if you're not taking advantage of that, you should not draft Travis Hunter. Now, for the New England Patriots, you're probably using him more early on as a receiver since you have a decent secondary. You've got your number 1 corner, Christian Gonzalez. However, I still think that it would be best for Travis Hunter to play full-time corner and then part-time wide receiver. And even if he's playing more wide receiver for the New England Patriots, I'm fine with that, though, because he truly is a weapon as a wide receiver. I think he'd be a top 10 pick in this class if he was just a receiver. He's that dynamic as a playmaker. And that's what the New England Patriots need. Like, they could really use a guy like Travis. I mean, I think most teams could use a guy like Travis Hunter, but New England really could. And then their day 2 picks, I figured let's go get some help on the defense here with at least one of them. And Mike Green, the machine there, Marshall, he is a dynamic pass rusher. I believe he leads all FBS in sacks this season. And it shows. Like, he's explosive. He's got good bend. He's stronger, too, than you would think a guy his size would be. So he can also hold up in the run game. And he's not going to be the greatest stack and shedder. That's not his game. But he is a disruptor, and he'll get in and make plays in the backfield. And he's also pretty sound in his discipline from what I've seen thus far in his film and the games I've watched. I've watched all the big games of him. And then you got Charles Grant and Jared Wilson, 2 offensive line picks. Grant is a really interesting prospect, man. Very athletic, very long. If he can get stronger, this guy, and, you know, continue to refine that technique, really interesting. Can't wait to see him at the Senior Bowl. Could be a hot riser. Low-key could sneak into the back end of the first round. Wouldn't be shocked. It's going to depend on the Senior Bowl. He's going to need to have a really good Senior Bowl to do something like that. But teams are going to value those sort of traits. I'm telling you right now, especially in a weak tackle class, or at least kind of what, in my opinion, looks like a weak tackle class. he's going to get value because of that. Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia, yet to declare just yet, but he is going to be a guy with also really good athleticism, and you can develop at that center position. David Andrews getting older, coming off an injury. That is a big question for them, is filling that center position. Well, the offensive line in general. Now, they're going to get help in free agency. There's no doubt in my mind, but you add in 2 pieces on that offensive line to be much needed help for Drake May in this offense. And then you got the Jaguars here at number 3. I'm going Will Johnson, the corner, Michigan, the Wolverine. Go get a secondary player, and they've really struggled there. Even Tyson Campbell struggled, so they need more help in the secondary. Ronald Darby going to be a free agent in 2026, / they're just using more help in general. So I'm going to add in Will Johnson. Jonas Salvanaia, one of my favorite fits here for this team. You help improve your offensive line. I mean, they will have a new coaching staff more than likely, so we'll see what they end up doing there. But you get a big, bad monster who's going to just huff, puff, and blow your defensive lineman down. Man, he's a real road grader in the run game, and he's been really solid in pass protection for Arizona, moving even to the left side this season, just playing everywhere for that Arizona offensive line. And then you have a void at that right guard position with Brandon Sharp being a free agent. And then you got Kyle Kennard and Sebastian Castro to finish it out on in round number 3. Kennard, a really nice dynamic pass rusher, knows how to use his hands as well and to get after the passer off the edge. They need more depth there behind Walker and Hines Allen. And then Sebastian Castro, going to be a really nice, kind of like an Antonio Johnson replacement in my opinion. I love Sebastian Castro's instincts and coverage, and also as a tackler, he just finds his way around the football. Now, I mean, you don't have to completely get rid of Antonio Johnson. He's not like a free agent or anything like that, but I feel like they need an upgrade there. / could use some more competition, and Castro certainly can do that. Help out this secondary room, especially if you lose Andre Sisco, you're going to need another safety. On to the Tennessee Titans here. I couldn't pass up going Shedeur Sanders. Don't even have to trade up for it. There was no trades in this mock draft, just to keep things pretty simple and clear. Shedeur Sanders, I like him a lot. I know people talk about the off-the-field stuff. Will he go to Tennessee? Will he go anywhere besides Vegas or certain destinations that he wants? Those are all things, well, it's really out of my hands. It's out of our hands, too. However, with that being said, I think Shedeur is a great kid. I love listening to the guy. I think he's one of the chillest dudes that I've listened to, honestly. He really is chill. People, I think, make him out to be some crazy diva. I don't see any of that with Shedeur Sanders. He's got a big personality, just like I think most people would, coming up and growing up with prime time as your dad. Let's be real. So, hey, I think, he's grounded and going to be a player that you can lead a team around. I have no problem with him in the locker room. And on the football field, man, the dude can process. And that's, I think, what Brian Callahan is looking for in a quarterback. And they got Princely Mamielon. They need some more edge depth, need some more talent of the future. Arden Key now going to be going into the last year of his deal. Same thing with Harold Landry. Both guys going to be 29. I mean, not that they're old or anything like that, but those are areas you could start to think about for the long haul. So I think Princely Mamielon, with his speed and athleticism to the edge, he has been a phenomenal pass rusher for Ole Miss. And I know a lot of people talk about Walter Nolan or even Jared Ivey, but man, Princely Mamielon's been a disruptive force. So get some more edge help. I think offense, too, could be a big need. Right side of the offensive line, wide receiver. It's a tough one, man. But I've went ahead and go with the edge talent because some of the top of the talent there's still some guys I'd consider in the first round in that second spot for the Titans. On to the Cleveland Browns, and I'm taking Will Campbell at number 5. Maybe it's a little rich for Will Campbell, but I think Campbell is a really good football player, and they just need offensive line. They need a left tackle of the future, clearly. So I think Will Campbell comes in right away and can be that Joe Thomas final replacement that they truly are looking for. I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Thomas level, but maybe some of the limitations of Joe Thomas, right, with the lack of arm length, maybe Will Campbell has some of that. And then once again, different players, but Will Campbell certainly can be that left tackle stalwart that they desperately need for a future quarterback that we might be getting here with Jalen Milroe in the second round, who I think certainly has all the developmental upside to be a franchise quarterback. You got to hone that passing game of his, but maybe he can be the Jalen Hurts 2.0 in that round number 2 type of selection. He can even sit, right? You still have Deshaun Watson under contract. You can't get out of that. So if they don't move on or whatever they want to do, well, you got Milroe to develop and you don't have to push him in to the starting lineup. And then their round 3 picks, Nick Singleton, the dynamic running back. He has got tremendous burst and ability in the receiving game. He's been really good in pass pro too this season. So you're getting a full 3-down workhorse as your future Nick Chubb. I know I'd love to keep Nick Chubb still, but I'm just saying they're going to have to add more help in no matter the cost. Azareye'h Alexander, LSU cornerback, a press zone schemed type of corner. You get somebody, Anthony Schwartz loves to be aggressive on defense and play those single high coverages. And I think that Alexander certainly can do that and hang. And you get some more help behind Martin Emerson, who's had a bit of a down year. I expect him to recover. However, certainly need to add more fuel in there. Newsome will also be a free agent in 2026. So both of those guys are free agents, and impending that they need to add some more help into the room besides just Denzel Ward and Cam Mitchell. On to the Raiders. Number 6, I'm going Ashton Jeanty. Look, they cannot. It's tough. It really is. There's no trades as I talk about, so I didn't move up. So I figured let's just go get Ashton Jeanty at 6. Best player available. Jeanty is a machine. He's going to elevate this offense. I said, hey, let's bring in Sam Darnold just like the other day. I'll get creative. I'll do different stuff. We'll definitely do some other things to shake things up. But for right now, I think Sam Darnold would make a lot of sense for this team. Get him in here. You bring Ashton Jeanty. You have an elite running game. You bring in more help on the offensive line and free agency, and then you go from there. We'll also bring in another weapon on day 2 with Trey Harris on the outside because they need another perimeter wide receiver, and he certainly can do that. Really good hands. Not elite speed or anything like that, but has solid enough ability to make plays and create enough separation, especially on like slants and those vertical routes. And then on defense, we get Azareye'h Thomas, a Florida State corner. They need some more secondary help and looking to upgrade there. Azareye'h Thomas certainly can do that. Man has been a super sticky corner in man coverage. He has all that press man on an island ability. And then Danny Studsman, Oklahoma linebacker. They need more help at the linebacker position. Spillane, and then also Diablo are both free agents. They got Tommy Eichenberg, the iceberg there from The Ohio State University. However, they could still use some more help in that linebacking room. Studsman can bring a stud. Let's keep pounding here for the Carolina Panthers. I'm going Abdul Carter, who falls to ya, and that would be a dream come true. If he makes it to 7, which I would be shocked personally. I love Abdul Carter. I think he's a top 3, top 5 pick. Easy. And I think you get him. You're so happy. They need pass rush, whether it's interior defense line with Mason Graham, Abdul Carter. Go get one of those guys, Carolina. And then we get more defensive help. Kamari Ramsey, USC corner. He has been a reliable, just back-end defender through his career. I remember watching him last season, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy just continues to be a rock, makes plays and coverages over and over and over again. Yeah, he can improve his angles in the run game. That's a weakness, especially you look at the Michigan game this season. He kind of got taken advantage of by Khalil Mullins and his angles, but I think Ramsey has got all the check boxes that you look for from a really good safety. Woods and Fuller, both free agents. Xavier Restrepo, Miami wide receiver. I know this is a fit that I love, but I mean, Adam Thielen, as good as he still is, they need to start thinking about the long haul, and adding another playmaker is vital for Bryce Young. Xavier Restrepo is just going to be a reliable wide receiver. Maybe not be a wide receiver 1, and that's okay. You got Leggett. Hopefully he can develop into a number 1, but Restrepo going to be a really, really good player. I feel very confident that there's just not a whole ton of bust potential with Restrepo. He's not an elite athlete, and that's kind of what separates him and not being like a first-round pick. On to the Jets, Jets. Oh, baby. We're going to go take Mason Graham, a stud. The Wolverine, he is going to be a machine next to Quinn Williams. What a 1-2 punch. I mean, that is just a dream come true as well here for the New York Jets. I would love that, obviously. Do you build that core up, that defensive line, help out the run defense as well some more, and pass rush. Mason Graham, don't think twice. He is a beast. You got Xavier Watts, Notre Dame safety. He's going to be much needed help in the back end. Maybe keep Tony Adams, or you bring in a free agent as well to complement Xavier Woods. But Xavier Woods is a playmaker that we desperately need in the safety room that we do not have. Final pick for the Jets, Terrence Ferguson, Oregon at tight end. I got to get a duck in here for the Jets as a fan. You know, both teams there. I think Ferguson has great size, great athleticism, and he's been a reliable target for Dylan Gabriel for the Ducks. And they need some more tight end help besides Jeremy Rutgert, who's the only guy under contract after this season. On to the Chicago Bears. You better believe offensive line is going to be the number one pick, right? Yeah, we're going to go offensive line. I'm going to go get Kelvin Banks Jr. You plug him in at the guard spot early on. He could compete at the left tackle position, depending if they bring Braxton Jones back or how Karan Amengaji continues to develop. But I feel like Banks, you put him in at left guard for Tevin Jenkins, who's a free agent, or just put him in one of those guard spots, man. Either which way, put him at center if you have to. But Banks going to be a mean butt-kicking machine on the offensive line to protect Caleb Williams and be much help in the run game, too. You got tight. This is honestly, I feel like the best value that I've ever gotten for the Chicago Bears, and not just for the Bears, and I don't do this intentional. Okay, there's no intention with any football team. I go into every draft trying to do the very best that I can with every team. And I just felt like it worked out for the Bears in this one. I'm not going to lie. Let me know what you think, Bears fans. But we got Tyreek Williams, JT Tuimoloau, and Andrew Mukuba on day 2. That's an insane haul. Those are all guys that I'm super high on. I have Tyreek Williams as a first-round guy. He slipped in this one. JT Tuimoloau, I have him as a first-round guy. He slipped. I have Mukuba as a second-round guy. He ended up just slipping a little bit. And Tyreek Williams, you think of that long-term Andrew Billings one-tech replacement, perfect. You got JT Tuimoloau adding another pass rusher into the room. Go with Austin Booker and Montez Sweat for the long haul. You still have Walker, of course. And then finally Mukuba, he can develop some safety help behind Kevin Byard for a season. And you also think with Jaquan Brisker, the injury, the concussions, that's something we need to at least just think about. You have Elijah Hicks, solid backup and whatnot. And, he did get beat this week, but he's been good this season and stuff like that. But Mukuba certainly adds some more reinforcements into the safety room. So I don't know. I feel like it worked out for the Bears in this mock draft. Or should I say the picnic baskets aligned, I guess. On to the New Orleans Saints here. And I got Mikael Williams with their first pick, the edge rusher from Georgia. Get some more talent off the edge, especially if they don't re-sign Chase Young. If they re-sign Chase Young, then this would not be a first-round selection, in my opinion. But if they're not able to retain him, he's having a heck of a second half of the year. I mean, he's really had a good season in general, but Mikael Williams would be a nice addition if they lose him and get some more pass rush for the long haul next to Carl Granderson. You got Caleb Johnson on day 2. He is just like a BPA at this point. I couldn't pass up his talent. And especially Kamara getting a little bit older now. I know they gave him an extension. However, that's not going to stop me from getting a talent like Caleb Johnson. He is an elite runner. And he's different than Alvin Kamara. And the skill set allows Alvin Kamara to be what he does best, is that receiving dynamic threat. Caleb Johnson's at the between the tackles runner. I think they were looking for that a little bit with Kendre Miller, and it just hasn't quite been there yet. And we'll see. Miller's had to deal with some injuries too. But you figure Johnson would be a huge 1-2 punch there with Kamara, and then the long haul, obviously, too. And then you keep it Louisiana here. Mason Taylor, the tight end from LSU, Baton Rouge, keep him close to home. He is just another one of those guys that slipped at this point. I'm like, I think he goes in round 2 in the actual draft. We're taking him here, no problem about it. You got to think long haul at the tight end position, too. They could use an upgrade there. So I think that just makes a lot of sense to get a guy with the talent of Mason Taylor. Such a well-rounded tight end. Maybe not an elite athlete or anything like that, but he can block, he can catch, and he can run routes. And then Gray Zabel, North Dakota State offensive lineman. He plays left tackle for them, but he's moved everywhere. I think he moves inside at the next level. He's got really strong hands. You put him at that left guard position, at least compete with Nick Saliverity at that spot, but that is a void for them as they need more help on that interior. San Francisco 49ers, I just said, let's go get some more pass rush. John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, they value those trenches, man. Getting some more players off the edge, going to be a big priority. The defensive line in general, the offensive line, those are the 2 biggest needs on this roster, in my view. So we get James Pierce Jr., get them more long-term pass rush. You got Yuta Gross-Matos, and you got Leonard Floyd. Drake Jackson's unfortunately been the injuries, so I don't know how much I can trust at this point. So I figure let's get that long-term number 2 with Nick Bosa. Marcus Bowe, tackle, Purdue, right tackle of the future for this team, absolutely. And Colton McKivitz can move inside to guard, especially if you lose Aaron Banks. Well, McKivitz, you slide him in over at guard, man. You got Bowe at right tackle with his athleticism and hand fighting usage that he has is unbelievable. One of the best in the class. TJ Sanders, also a good hand fighter as well, and a good pass rusher on the inside, a super dynamic pass rusher. And he can develop, continue to get stronger, add some more bulk, doesn't have to start right away. You got Hargrave and Malik Collins. And then final pick, Darian Porter, Iowa State cornerback, somebody I've not watched a ton of just yet, but he's long, he's big, and he's super athletic. He can be that Charvarius Ward, big outside corner help for this Niner football team. On to the Miami Dolphins. I can't pass on Benjamin Morrison. He's a top 5, top 10 pick. Easy for me. I would take him over Will Johnson. No problem. Call me crazy, but man, call me maybe. But nah, this would be something I had no problem with doing. I think Morrison is the best one-on-one corner in this draft. Sure, he can get more physical. Yes, you worry about the hip injury. That's going to be a big thing. A big talking point, and the reason why he falls outside the top 10 for me, that's the only reason why he falls outside the top 10, because strictly as a cover corner, he's a beast. In terms of the team knit fit, yes, you got Ramsey. Yes, you got Fuller. Those are guys that can move inside as well. I'm looking at this long haul. You need another outside corner with some more youth here as well. They've had a lot of injuries in the secondary, so I want to improve that with a guy like Benjamin Morrison. Donovan Jackson. Offensive line, the Ohio State University, going to plug right into the left guard position and add some more mean run blocking and also protect Tua in the pass game. And then round 3 picks, Shamar Turner, the freak. I mean, he's a great athlete, man. Yes, you got some unbelievable athletes at Texas A&M. They're all 5 stars, but Turner's another one, man. He's long, he's strong, and he just doesn't get a whole ton of pass rushing opportunities at Texas A&M. They basically say, hey, I want you to run defense. I want you to block out, and lock out and all those sort of things. He doesn't get to go after the passer a whole ton. You know what? Get him to the next level. Let him get with NFL coaching. They'll let him actually get after the passer, use those traits he has. And then you got Deontay Lawson, going to be that guy next to Jordan Brooks as that 1-2 linebacker punch. And on to the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going Tyler Warren, the ever elusive, the ever versatile, jack of all trades, man. Tight end Tyler Warren is an unbelievable player. He does everything. And for the Colts, man, they are just lacking that tight end in the room. They use 2 tight end sets a lot too. So, man, using a guy like Tyler Warren that can block, he's got physicality. He's going to be a dangerous weapon for this Colts football team. Pull out the TW hats. He'll be like the Tiger Woods at the tight end position, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. And then you got Chris Paul Jr., the linebacker from Ole Miss. This guy is athletic. He's great in coverage. And he's going to be that great combination next to Jair Franklin. Remember, EJ Speed's a free agent. Plus Alubi and also Stewart are both restricted free agents. Now, those guys should be back on the cheap. But, yeah, they could use some more linebacking help. And then final pick, Alfred Collins. You're like, ooh, interesting one here for Alfred Collins. What's this one? But here it is. So I'm going to say he's going to be a great one-tech for the long haul. Grover Stewart, you got to be able to rotate him in, right? He can't play 100% of the snaps, and you shouldn't rely on him to. But it's like when he's not out there, they get gashed. They need a one-tech that can come in there, be a rotational piece behind Grover Stewart, add some more depth into that defensive line. Alfred Collins is exactly that. He's a big, freakish, one-tech run defender that has athletic traits where you can develop into a pass rusher at some point, but he'll just say, hey, you hold down the mountain there when Grover Stewart's not in and help out that run game early on especially. Cincinnati Bengals, I'm going Malachi Starks. They need some more secondary help. It's been chips this season, and I'm not talking no good Lay's potato chips or anything like that. Give me some barbecue. You got barbecue and you didn't invite me? No, we're pulling our best Josh Johnson, but Malachi Stark's certainly going to add some more barbecue into this defense, and he's going to help him out in a multitude of facets, whether it's in the slot, whether it's in deep safety, you name it, Malachi Starks can do it. You got Armin Embu, offensive line, you move him inside the guard. I think he's going to be a kicking butt guard for whoever drafts him. Could also be a swing tackle, absolutely, and some teams will play him at tackle. He's got impressive strength. He's got road grader strength. You saw him go up against Dylan Stewart and pile driving him, man, and Stewart. I mean, yeah, Stewart's a little thin, so it's nothing like crazy, but Stewart obviously will be a first-round pick in a couple of years. And not just Stewart, you look in general in the SEC competition that he's gone against, he has been really, really good, and continue to work on that hand technique. I think he'll be a very nice offensive lineman. This occasionally gets a little lunge happy too, but he's got all the traits to be a really good offensive lineman. And then Ashton Galletti, Louisville, edge rusher. He is just your high motor, knows how to use his hands, edge rusher. He's a no-nonsense. I'm getting after the quarterback. I'm finding a way to sack you. That's what he brings to the table. He's got solid athleticism, not elite. He doesn't have the elite arm length that teams are going to look for, but man, I just love his play style, and he's going to play somewhere for a high level. How about them Cowboys? And yo, what about them Cowboys getting a steal in Tetero and McMillan? I didn't do this on purpose. It's just sometimes good players fall, and in this case scenario, McMillan fell, and you're getting yourself a phenomenal playmaker to add in for Dak Prescott. And just certainly helping out this offense, man. I couldn't pass up on that at 15 at that point, that value, man. And you guys know a few, two good things about some players falling to you, especially at the receiver position. And then you got Derek Harmon, another guy who kind of fell down the board here for me and just felt like in the second round, this guy's a steal. Go and take him. Have some more help on that interior defensive line, especially if you lose Osa Odighizuwa. You can't lose Osa Odighizuwa. Then it'd be a huge need. But hey, I'm going to add some more interior defensive line with Derek Harmon. And then final pick, Travion Henderson, the Ohio State man. Going to be a really good 1-2 punch with Rico Dowdle. On to the Arizona Cardinals, and I'm going with a shocker, Jihad Campbell. Somebody that I know I've been saying this. I would take Jihad Campbell over Jalen Walker, no problem about it. And that's no disrespect to Jalen Walker or anything like that. I'm just that big of a fan on Jihad Campbell. I think this guy needs to be talked about more in the first round, especially. You don't find guys with the size, the athleticism, and the traits, the cover traits that he can do at the next, it's really hard, especially in this draft class too. I think that he should be moved up the board a lot more. He's a player that I'm no problem taking in the first round. Going to be much needed help in this linebacking core for them. That he has a lot of uncertainties right now. Kazir White is a free agent. You have Mac Wilson and Owen Popo under contract. They need more help in the linebacking room. Jihad Campbell can also rush the passer too, so you can use him off the edge as Alabama does. You can use him as a blitzer. He's got that ability. He's going to be that true stud at the linebacker spot for this Cardinals team. Going to help them out tremendously in the run game and in the pass game. And then you got Isaiah Bond. Let's add that dynamic wide receiver in this offense with some speed. And Isaiah Bond, a great compliment to Michael Wilson and Maserati Marv. Just love the fit there for Isaiah Bond and this Cardinal team. And then final pick for them, David Walker, Central Arkansas edge rusher. Can't wait to see him at the Senior Bowl. He's not the longest or the fastest guy, but man, does he know how to get after the passer, man. Absolutely. So you get some more rev off the edge and fire up some more pass rush. Between Campbell and Walker, yeah, you're going to find ways to get after the passer. And not to mention Darius Robinson getting fully healthy. You got B.J. Ojulari back. Maybe you bring back Baron Browner, who's had some nice flashes for you guys so far. I think that would be a solid build at the draft here for the Cardinals. Or we go to the Bucs. I'm going to Jalen Walker. Unfortunately, had a tough loss versus the Cowboys, but man, we're going to go steam some things up and get a dynamic disruptor in Jalen Walker. He is a disruptor. Now, I think he needs to learn how to use his hands more, and I do worry about, is he a true edge rusher at the next level? That's okay, though, because I think Todd Bowles, in his attacking style that he brings to the table, is going to find a perfect spot to use Jalen Walker across the defensive line in those blitz-heavy roles. He's a perfect fit for this team. Jaden Higgins, wide receiver, Iowa State. He's not maybe the fastest guy or anything like that, but he's got some speed for his size. He's almost 6'4", 210 plus pounds. He is a big, really nice moving, athletic wide receiver that's got very good hands. He's going to be able to play in the slot for them and as well on the outside. He does it at Iowa State as a big slot and playing on the outside. He certainly can do that. Add another big target for Baker Mayfield. So now you got Jalen McMillan, you got Jaden Higgins, and of course, the elite Mike Evans. Final pick, Tate Ratledge, was just BPA, and I figured there's a couple of areas that this team could look at, but Tate Ratledge, at this point in the draft, be a plug-and-play guard for this team to kind of fill out and finalize that offensive line. You got four great starters. Who's that fifth guy? Hopefully Tate Ratledge. On to the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going offensive line in the first round. Tyler Booker. Fly him right into that left guard position. An immediate upgrade on their offensive line. Hopefully him and Christian Haynes will be your future guard offensive lineman and help improve in general that offensive line. And then Nick Emanwari, going to be that dynamic big nickel defender / hybrid safety. They're going to use a guy like this, right? And you figure long haul for Rashawn Jenkins, they could use some more help there. And Nick Emanwari can be that guy, really athletic, big man. And then Carson Beck, I'm going to take a chance at a quarterback. At least adding a developmental quarterback behind Geno Smith, I think is a must for the Seattle Seahawks team. And at this point, the value at 82, I think makes a lot of sense for Carson Beck, who is done for the season, unfortunately. So Stockton will now be the Georgia quarterback going into the playoff going. That was the college football playoff, the tongue twister there. That was not even a tongue twister. I'm tongue twistering myself out here, but I feel like I'm in the twister game and I'm just like all tied up like a pretzel, man. But anyway, that's going to kind of do it there. Getting that developmental quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. On to the Atlanta Falcons. I didn't go pass rusher in the first round. What are you doing? Well, hey, I want to change it up a little bit. Josh Simmons falls. He's too good not to take. If it weren't for the injury, I think he'd be a top 10 pick in this draft class. He's got great size, great arm length, and the athleticism, and he's explosive out of his stance. He's really improved his hand fighting this season, and somebody that's going to be that long-term right tackle, protect Michael Penix and his blind side, absolute priority. So I feel like Kaleb McGary, even if you bring him back for one more season, he's one more year left on his contract. He will be a great understudy, and you don't have to force him into the lineup right away. And not to mention Jake Matthews, too, is getting a little bit older now. He is still under contract, so you don't have to look at replacing him. But Josh Simmons, going to be much needed tackle help for this team for the long haul. And then Captain Jack Sawyer. We're also going back to Ohio State for their defensive line pick. Jack Sawyer is a freaking stud, man. I don't care. He is not going to be this high-end pass rusher, but he's going to be a very good football player. I will be shocked if he is a bust at the next level. Shocked. He is going to make his way onto the football field and be a quality starter that has upside too. That it could be a plus level starter with time and continued development, but he's already got the tools and great run defender. He's going to be some help off the edge for sure. Here we go. I got to add in a bolt of electricity here because we got Cam Skattebo. I know we got to go in more order here, but I got to talk about Cam Skattebo. So I'm not going in order here. Forget about it. Cam Skattebo is one of the most fun players to watch in college football. I'm telling you, if it weren't for the lack of speed, he'd be a first-round pick. No problem. No doubt about it. It just comes down to that lack of speed. But when you talk about toughness, when you talk about not going down on first contact, vision, he's got all of that, man. He absolutely does. This is just, I feel like he's a Harbaugh addition that you're looking for in the run game. He's going to be tough as nails and just be that rock in that running back room. Let's get back on track, though, here. Colston Loveland. Yeah, man, Cam Skattebo. What a name, too. Skattebo. And then we go, Colston Loveland. Tight end, the Wolverine. Yes, I know. I'm sorry. This is another cop-out. It is what it is. But you added a Wolverine here. And it just makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, that's what they need, too. They need another pass catcher, especially in this tight end room, to pair along with Will Dissly. And then LT Overton. I think this would be a fun one because he can play a little on the inside and play off the edge. And however they want to work him, like he could be a full-time interior guy at the next level. He could also be a full-time edge guy. He's a solid athlete. He's not as good of an athlete as guys like Shamar Stewart or Mikael Williams, but he's a better user of his hands than those guys. He's further along in his development. I feel very good about LT Overton in terms of just like, I know he's going to succeed at some point because he knows how to use his hands. He's got size. He's got power in his arms. He just checks off all those boxes. Is he got elite burst or athleticism? No, and that's okay. But he's certainly going to be a great add, whether it's as an edge rusher or an interior defensive lineman or a combination. He's going to help out that defense line, get a little bit more youth on there. On the Houston Texans, I'm going the big behemoth there at Michigan, Kenneth Grant. You can't help but notice number 78 on that football field. He has got crazy explosion and traits that you look for. That this team, Houston Texans, needs some more help on that interior defensive line. Plug and play. And then you got Evan Stewart. This is one where I just think that you're going to have to continue to add another weapon, whether it's round 2, round 3, even round 1, possibly if BPA falls to you, etc. But I feel like in this case scenario, Evan Stewart got elite athleticism. Well, I mean, maybe not 4.3, 4.2 speed or anything like that, but he is such a great mover in and out of his breaks. He's got the ball skills. It just comes down to the sample size and also the inconsistencies there at Oregon this season. But when he goes up against good competition, he can succeed against anybody because of those athletic traits and ball skills. I am a huge Evan Stewart fan. I have him as a first-round guy, and they add another weapon in here because of the Tank Dell injury. You do have to start thinking about adding another piece in there just in case, as good as Dell and Collins is as a duo. And then finally, Billy Bowman Jr. is an interesting one, but he'd be someone, even though Jamie Ward is under contract next season, he's getting older now. You need to start at least having a plan in place to develop, just like what they got with Caden Bullock. And remember, Caden Bullock's going to be that deep safety. Jalen Petrie has been able to play in the slot, been really good in that department. So you got Billy Bowman as more of that Jamie Ward replacement, going to be that duo there, that 3 combination that they use. Denver Broncos, I'm starting this thing off with Josh Connolly Jr. At this point, I can't pass up on Connolly Wive as a top 15 prospect in this class. His movement skills are unbelievable. He has got in tremendous hand placement and usage. He knows how to get on and latch on defenders. He's stronger this season, and certainly going to be the left tackle of the future for this team if you lose Garrett Bowles on free agency. And heck, if you keep him, and you could still say to yourself, let's put him over at right tackle for the long haul, and Mike McGlinchey, and they've had injuries there too. So I think Connolly Jr. would be a much-needed addition to protect Bo Nix and help with this offense line even more. Then you got Gunnar Helm, the Texas tight end. Let's add another playmaker for Bo Nix. I think tight end would be the biggest void that Sean Payton is looking to add into this room. Yeah, you got Lucas Kroll and whatnot, Adam Troutman, but I feel like they could use that guy. And Gunnar Helm is that guy, right? He's got the athleticism, and he's been their top target there for Hookem. Final pick is Darrell Jackson Jr., Florida State man, and he is he is long, and he is athletic for his size. So you add in a big man on that interior defense line with DJ Jones being a free agent. They need to start thinking about that, finding that 1-2 punch with Zach Allen. The Los Angeles Rams, I'm going Siobhan Revel, the long, the tall, the freakish athlete cornerback, the pirate, man. He is a pirate. He's going to steal the ball over and over again, make plays, get your gold, man. That's what Siobhan Revel does all day long, baby, man. I'm telling you. And they could use that dude in the secondary to finish off this defense. They need that playmaker in the secondary, and Revel can be that guy. And then you got Jalen Royals and Blake Miller on day 2. Royals, going to add another weapon in here. Hey, you got to think with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, both a little injury prone, but they're both unbelievable players. And when they're on the football field, this offense is humming, and it's as good as any offense in the NFL. However, those injuries have been taking a bit of a toll, and I think Royals add some more depth. Tutu Atwell's a free agent. Demarcus Robinson's also a free agent. So let's build up that depth in the wide receiving room. And then we get Blake Miller as a developmental right tackle behind Rob Havenstein. I do think Aldrick Jackson ends up being re-signed. However, that right tackle position, you got to start thinking about that of the future. On to the Washington Commanders. BPA, baby. We're going Luther Burden III, Missouri wide receiver. Can't pass up on him at this point. He has been inconsistent this season, and that's kind of the theme with a lot of these wide receivers, but the talent, the traits, they're all there with Luther Burden, and you just get the ball in his hands for Jaden Daniels, even though, Jaden Daniels is dangerous with this ball in hand. Why not add another dangerous player with the ball in his hands? You got Scary Terry, Luther Burden, Jaden Daniels, Brian Robinson. You're building at an offense that can be super dynamic and super tough for defenses to cover. And then Landon Jackson, Maxwell Harrison on day 2. Jackson, another pass rusher in here to go along with Dorrance Armstrong. You're building a big monster edge rushing duo, and then Maxwell Harrison would be some more help in the secondary as that twitchy corner to go along with Marshawn Lattimore on the outside, Sandra still in the slot. Build out that secondary and finish it off. And then on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to Emeka Egbuka. What he lacks in speed and maybe size, he has in just route running nuance, solid athleticism, good hands. There's just not many knocks to his game. I'm taking that all day at the receiver position. He is a clear upgrade for this Pittsburgh Steelers team that needs another weapon. And then you got Omar Norman Lott, another weapon on the defensive line. So, yes, Larry Ogunjobi is still under contract, but long haul, he's got 1 year left on his contract. They could even move on from his contract after this season and save like $8 million or somewhere in that ballpark. But Norman Lott, Keanu Benton, Cameron Hayward will be your tandem of 3, and they love those guys on the interior as well. They use them. I think Norman Lott would be an absolute fantastic addition, especially as a pass rusher early on as he continues to get stronger. Denzel Burke, going to be that third corner. Hey, Dante Jackson is a free agent, so if they don't bring him back or you bring in another veteran on a 1 year deal, let's get a developmental guy to be that dude for the long haul. Denzel Burke can be that good combination too on the outside as more your twitchy guy to go along with Joey Porter Jr. and then obviously Beanie Bishop in the slot. On to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going Wyatt Millam. Offensive line, plays left tackle at West Virginia, and I'm going to move him inside to guard in this simulation. But he certainly could compete. If you lose Ronnie Stanley, then he's going to compete, or maybe you end up drafting somebody else like an Ariante Ursary or whoever else is on the board at this point. But Wyatt Millam, best offensive lineman available, in my opinion, at this point in the draft. Really good football player, very strong hands, and has come such a far way in terms of his nuance as an offensive lineman, as a pass protector, especially. Now, his footwork in space may be a little limiting, and that's why I say you probably want to move him inside the guard, but with his hand strength and his hand technique, I think he'd be a fantastic addition for this Baltimore Raven team at that left guard position. Then on day 2, Kevin Winston, Penn State safety. Yeah, he's only played like 2 games this season, so that's why he falls a little bit in the second round. But man, he's got all the traits. And going back to his film in 2023, he was excellent and borderline first round level. So you're possibly getting yourself a first round talent. It just comes down to not seeing it lately, which is so difficult, of course, when that evaluation comes down to that time. But you got to think a long haul, they're going to be moving on in that secondary, trying to get a little cheaper for Marcus Williams in his contract. Jared Ivey, the edge rusher at Ole Miss, he is got power in his hands, man. He has got that, that pocket pushing ability. I see him as a guy that moves inside for at the next level. And for the Baltimore Ravens, they need a little bit more depth, especially in that mold as a Broderick Washington, get a little bit more depth in that competition in that area. I think it makes a lot of sense with Jared Ivey, who can also rush off the edge too. On to the Green Bay Packers, Donovan Azareye'h. Jeff Hafley, I'm sure, has a little bit of familiarity with Azareye'h. He knows this guy's got some speed off the edge. And the one thing I will say about the Packers is I think that they could use a little bit more speed off the edge, right? You got the Van Ness monster, you got Rashawn Gary and Kingsley Enagbare. Enagbare is more their explosive pass rusher, but they could use another guy that's got some speed, get home ability more consistently off the edge to give them that, that power and speed threat ability. So I think Azareye'h would be a fantastic addition into that pass rush, which has been a little inconsistent this season, getting home consistently. Yes, they had a good week versus the Saints this past game, but I think that they still need some more oomph in the room. And then defense, we go on to round number 2 with Trey Amos, cornerback. Ole Miss falls to them at this point. I can't pass that up. Let's, without Jair Alexander, this defense looks a little different, that's for sure. But, hey, they still were really good in this past, versus Saints and whatnot. Obviously, their receiving core is decimated, but I think Trey Amos would be a much-needed add to go along with Jair Alexander as that 1-2 on the outside, then obviously Keyshawn Nixon in the slot. Final pick, Alec Ayumanor. I figured why not get another big play threat on the outside since they've had a lot of injuries too at the receiver position, especially with Christian Watson. So if they want to continue to add at the receiving position, since a lot of guys are free agents in 2026, maybe they start to think, hey, let's try to add to the well a little bit more too, just in case when that time comes, we have some more playmakers. On to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going with a big man, Ariante Ursary. You know Howie Roseman. Offensive line, defensive line, let's go get them trenches. And that's what we do here with Ariante Ursary. He's a big, physical offensive lineman. He can be the right tackle of the future. I like him a lot at the guard position, and I would even consider that too as a Mekhi Becton replacement, especially if Tyler Steen is going to be more of a swing guy. Then Ariante Ursary would be your long-term right guard, and I'm cool with that too as an option. But Ursary certainly could be a good swing tackle for them as well, because when Mata'ala or Johnson go down with injury, this team takes a noticeable dip on their offensive line. So having that backup swing tackle is going to be really important too for this team. And then on day 2, we go Brendan Swinson. He's a guy that kind of gets lost a little bit right now in all these edge rushers, but Swinson is really good. This is another guy that knows how to use his counters and knows how to use his hands to get after the quarterback. So yes, you see him clubbing, you see him swimming and ripping and doing a lot of, we're rhyming now, but man, he's really got that to his game as a pass rusher down to a T. He's got swim moves. He's, you name it. He's got a lot of different stuff in his repertoire as a pass rusher, and he's been so good at LSU this season. And then we got Harold Fanning Jr., the tight end from Bowling Green. Going to be a great understudy for Dallas Goedert, who's under contract for one more season. Yeah, possibly they extend him, but I still feel like they could use another weapon, another tight end, right? Besides Grant Calcaterra at the tight end room. Buffalo we go! And I'm going to take Jahdae Barron, a Texas cornerback. He is going to be another playmaker for this Bills team that needs another secondary player, right? They could use another playmaker in general. So you got Christian Benford, Jahdae Barron, and then also obviously Taron Johnson in the slot. That's your new tandem of 3, especially with Rasul Douglas being a free agent. I think it makes all the sense to add to this room. And Jahdae Barron's been a phenomenal player at Hookem. His instincts are brilliant. And I think he's going to thrive so heavily in a zone scheme where he allows the Buffalo Bills to take a look and peek and make plays. And then Savion Williams, a big riser, and he's going to be a big riser. Now, he doesn't know how to run routes all that well completely yet, but if Joe Brady, especially if Joe Brady is still the OC, he's going to find ways to get this guy the football, especially out of the backfield as a runner, you name it. They do that a lot too with their running backs. So I think he's just going to be a piece that they're going to move around in so many ways. Can be like a Curtis Samuel ad for this team who is under contract still, but maybe, you look at that. I mean, different players, but at the same time, you can accomplish some different things there. Savion Williams, tremendous size and tremendous athlete, explosion. He has it. And then final pick, Deone Walker. Another pick, we're just kind of BPA, falls right to you. I know you got Dwayne Carter, you drafted in the 3rd round, and I like Dwayne Carter, and he certainly adds more depth, but I feel like they could still use more help in there. So, especially with Daquan Jones, going to be, 34 next season, somewhere in that ballpark. So you get Ed Oliver, Deone Walker, Dwayne Carter, and then, obviously Daquan Jones still under contract as well. So that's kind of your rotation of 4 going into next season. And Walker with his upside, I'm taking a chance like that. Like, that's just no way I'm passing up on that. Bills can go BPA. They've got the draft picks to do it. Skull. We're taking Amari and Hampton, running back, North Carolina. He's just too good not to take in the 1st round or at the top of the 2nd. He's going to go. I'm telling you right now, he's going to go early. Same thing with Caleb Johnson. These guys are going to go. They're very, very good running backs. And he's going to be that 3-down workhorse if you lose Aaron Jones, which if they do think it's possible they bring him back, we shall see. He's had a really good season when he's been out there for this Minnesota Vikings team. He is a beast, and definitely vital for this Minnesota team is to run the rock and absolutely have the play action, being able to set that up for Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy, whoever's calling play or, being the quarterback for this football team next season. So Hampton is going to be the engine for this offense. And then Mello Dotson, adding some cornerback help. He's not as thin as his teammate Kobe Bryant. He's a little thin, so that's one of the things, the knock on him. But he's a feisty player in run defense. It's not like he's a complete liability in that regard. And he's really good, sticky in coverage. He has all that ability. Yes, the press tech, you worry a little bit about that physical guys, but I feel like with Brian Flores playing a lot of off coverage, zone, make plays, right? Like keep things in front of you, make plays in front of you. I think Mello Dotson is perfect for that in this scheme and adding that to this blitz-heavy team, and especially adding another guy with his playmaking instincts as Dotson has at Kansas. On to the Detroit Lions here. I'm taking Nick Scourton, BPA 100% here. He falls, and just at this point, I'm taking a chance on this guy. He's super young. He's not the most athletic guy. However, he knows how to get after the passer as well, and he's a really good run defender. And Texas A&M, they really ask you to do that a lot of the times as well. So there's partially on that with Nick Scourton and maybe why the sack numbers aren't as good as maybe what you would want it to be this season there. But he certainly has all the traits and the tools. It could be a great base end for them in their 4-3 packages. And even when they're in 3-4 packages, he can play on the inside. He has that two-way ability, no problem. Excellent strength profile. Nick Scourton, add more pass rush into the room, more defensive lineup to go along with Hutch and Smith. And then we're going Emory Jones here, offensive line. I think he moves inside the guard at the next level. Also gives you a swing tackle, but you move him inside the guard, going to help limit some of those liabilities off the edge with some of that speed that he's dealt with at LSU this season. But you can't deny his traits and his strength profile. He can pop some dudes. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're looking for. And I think he can do that. You put him at that right guard position for Kevin Zeitler and Long or Christian Mahogany, maybe, But Long even, you got to think that Graham Glasgow is under contract, but he'll be a free agent in 2026. So I think they could add more offensive line help anyway. And then the final team here, the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm starting out Shamar Stewart. The pass rush has been a little inconsistent for the Chiefs. One of the reasons I think they got Chris Jones trying to play off the edge, especially on third downs and whatnot. Let's go get some more pass rush. Shamar Stewart, he is a freak. You don't find guys that have the 4.5 speed at his size, 6'6", 285, long arms. He has crazy upside, and he just needs to learn how to use his hands as a pass rusher. He's a good run defender, though, and he does, sometimes he'll not be aware of what's around him in his gaps, but that's something he can also work on, just kind of in gap integrity and understanding, hey, I need to get off a little quicker. And it goes back to using your hands, but you do not find traits like that very often. And as I talk about, they need more pass rush. And then you got Davidson Iguodanosin, the Ohio State cornerback. He's going to be that physical corner for Spags and this press-heavy team. And he can get away with it maybe for the Chiefs, right? Less flags for KC. And that's one of obviously the issues with Igbinosun, other than maybe the lack of like elite long speed. But Igbinosun certainly can be a little grabby, and that's something that he's going to have to hone his skills a little bit better at the next level. Then you got Quishon Judkins going back to Ohio State University. Get that 1-2 punch there with Isaiah Pacheco. Judkins in the third round, I have no problem with that whatsoever. Just falls because there's some really good running backs in this class. And it also gives them some depth, right? They need depth behind Pacheco. And then you got Matthew Golden, a golden receiver. The golden, girls now here between Golden, and then you got Rice coming back from injury, whether they keep Brown or Hopkins, but you got Worthy. So between Worthy, Golden, and Rice, maybe that can be your new golden girls, of receiving core. But anyway, Matthew Golden, really nice route runner, and he's really got a great ability after the catch too, and something like a playmaker. He's just another playmaker for this team. So that's going to do it here for this 3-round mock draft. Stay tuned, because tomorrow for Christmas, we got an even bigger mock draft. So let me know what you think about this draft, and I can't wait. We got something cooking. So I'll see you soon. Keep it coolin'. Let's go.